All right, welcome into the preview show. We're going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens game, Thursday night football, Amazon Prime. Everybody's got to go subscribe to that. Go watch the show. One of the things the Bengals have got to do, obviously coming off a loss this weekend, is turn around and get some of their guys healthy and hopefully get some guys out there that haven't been out there. I think there was some good news as of right now, Tuesday night. Trey Hendrickson, I believe, was out at practice today. I know it's just probably a walkthrough, but the fact that he had his helmet on and was out there at practice, big get for the Bengals if that's the case. Now looking at the Ravens, and this is where we're at right now in the season is, you're getting to a point where guys are getting hurt. People are starting to come back from injuries, things like that. But the one thing that's got to happen is it's a short week, and on short weeks, you can't get too exotic. You can't do a lot of new stuff. You're going to do what you know. You're going to look at the game plan you just ran from the week before and look at things that maybe you didn't run that maybe still fit to the team that you're playing, because you're not going to get much practice time. You're going to have literally you're going to get one practice in, a walkthrough today. You might get a 7-on-7 in today, and that's it. And after that, it's all about just getting the practice time in with the players and making sure everybody knows, what to do with that particular game plan. Now, looking at the Ravens ranked number 1 in rushing per game at 324 yards per game. 324 attempts for 1,549 yards at a 4.8 clip per rush. So 324 attempts. Now, let's reference that to the Bengals. The Bengals ranked dead last in rushing yards at 673. Do the math. I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but 1,549 minus 673, the difference between the two is actually more than the Bengals have total. And the attempts for the Bengals are dead last at 186. So they're throwing the ball a whole lot in Cincinnati, which obviously, you see that happening. The Ravens are coming off a comeback loss to the Browns. The Browns came back and beat them at Baltimore. Doesn't happen very often. And obviously the Bengals are coming off a loss at home to the Texans. Lamar Jackson is playing at a very high level. He might be playing at a higher level than when he won the MVP a couple years ago. So you're talking about, one of the better players in the league playing really, really well. It has a lot of good players around him right now. And again, the Bengals might be without Hendrickson. I don't know, man. Hopefully they're not. But they're probably going to be without Hubbard and Huggins again. So apparently if your name starts with an H, Hendrickson, Hubbard, and Huggins, you might want to change your name to something other than an H, because apparently those are the people that are out right now. So looking at Baltimore's offense, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at their offense first. Looking at their offense and what they're doing. This is from the other day, from a couple days ago, and this is what's called Fox 2 run. Fox 2 run means the fullback is running to the 2 side, which is the right, and he's going to block the Mike linebacker, and he's going to block the Sam, he's going to block the Mike. It's a draw play. And it's really a version of ISO. And again, you got this guy running out right here, and it's this kid right here, Keaton Mitchell, rookie out of East Carolina. Pretty good player, man. I mean, Gus Edwards has been the guy, but this kid Keaton Mitchell come in and doing some good things. Again, you got guys like Kevin Zeitler, who's been with the Bengals. We drafted him when I was there. They got a really good O-line, and they're doing some good things. And again, this kid, ended up running past the entire defense right here. So good for him. Again, that's Zay Flowers right there, another rookie. So they got some young guys that are playing well. This is a duo play. And when I say duo, again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all man blocking. They're doubling here to him. They're doubling here to him. He's going to try to go peel this guy out of there. This is Gus Edwards, but I just want to show you this. This is something that all their guys are good at. And they'll wash all this down. So they'll build a big wall right here, and it'll allow the back to bounce around this wall. And their backs have been making guys miss. And, this looks like the Cincinnati, like when Nick Scott came off the edge the other day and he blitzed, it kind of looks like that. So you want to make sure you're under control versus this run game, because this run game is legit. And I'm not even talking about Lamar Jackson yet. I'm just talking about the run game. This was against Cincinnati. This is a power play. And when I say power, we're talking about a kick out, pull around, and basically everybody else is doubling down. Now, I want to show you what the Ravens did here. That's the tight end. That's a tackle. This is unbalanced. Well, when you go unbalanced like this, the coverage issues become an issue because normally this is a tackle and this is a tight end and you got coverage. Well, the problem that's going to happen here is he's playing all the way out here. Well, because he's in coverage and there's nobody for Logan Wilson to get to cover in all reality except for the fullback, it's going to cause an issue where there's an extra gap. So there's a gap. He's here. He's pulling around. So right there, you got that gap filled, you got that gap filled, that gap filled, that gap filled, that gap filled. You know, really that guy's filling that gap, but there's nobody here. The guy that's playing this gap is Scott. That's all the way out here, and that's tough because he's got to be in coverage. So it's a good scheme by the Ravens, and they got to be ready for that. You know, there's different fronts you can do, different coverages you can do to make up for those gaps. So that's their outside zone with this fly. So when you fly a guy away from here, you're hoping to gain the eyes of these guys. When I say that, you want them to be looking over here, but you're really running the play over here. And if you see here from the end zone, it holds Logan Wilson just enough. You see how it holds him right here? Watch this guy right here come off here and then push him by. And you see it's just enough because if let's say Logan Wilson had run over here initially, he'd be right there making this play. But that fly motion held him just enough. And again, that's the things they got to be ready for. They got to be ready for the fly motions, all the eye candy, if you want to call it, and be ready to take that on this week. Now, this is just read zone. One of the things when people get in this double A look and they put these linebackers inside, you want to really run it down in here because you got a lot of bigger bodies, you know, that are blocking on these linebackers in all reality. And so what they're going to do here now, the problem is this outside linebacker for Pittsburgh crashes down. Well, the guy this guy right here, who'd usually be standing right here, if he crashes down, would play over the top. Well, 55's down in here. There's nobody here for the quarterback. It's a bad job by Pittsburgh of doing that. And again, you want to put Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson's on the last line of defense right here. And most guys are sliding. He ain't sliding, man. He's going to keep trying to go. So, again, you know, it's there. Now, these plays here, these last two I want to talk about are what I call a bash play. They're a counter bash play. They're actually going to pull the center. They're going to pull him around. They're going to block these two guys back here and him back on him. Well, what they're going to do, though, who's blocking this guy? Well, they're going to run like a sweep play with him. If he goes up the field to take the sweep, Lamar Jackson is going to pull and run behind all those guys. If he runs down here to take Lamar Jackson, he's going to hand it off to this guy coming around the edge, and it's called a bash play. But see how he played up the field? So he says, nope, I'm pulling this, and here I go. I'm going to run up in here. And, again, that's something. Here's another version of it right here that showed up. Now, they're running – instead of running the bash with the back, they're going to do it with this fly sweep right here. And because they had it blocked out, this might have been just a straight-up design run right here. This may not even been a read. And they said, you know what? I'm just going to run up in here. Look, I mean, that's a humongous hole. So they got to be ready for these. These are college-style plays right here. These are not normal NFL-style plays. These are plays that you know you're running your quarterback, and not a lot of NFL teams are going to run their quarterback like they're running their quarterback. So, again, they're doing a good job with that. Now, when you look at the explosive passes from Baltimore, there's not a whole lot of explosive passes, but they got enough. And it's some of the things that they're doing. And now this is funny because I call this an explosive pass, and this is from the game the other day. There's OBJ up here. So you've got man coverage. And so they're playing Cleveland plays man on the back from way back here. So they're saying, you know what, if you want to throw it to the back right here, cool, we'll rally. But we're going to keep help back here. So you can see right here, they ran the back to the flat, and it's a slant-flat combination. And OBJ beats his guy right here, and then the corner falls down. Now, I want you to watch. We talk about the Bengals having some bad tackling or bad angles every once in a while. This guy goes here to go here. And, again, that's all this was a simple slant route. Some of this stuff's not too hard. I mean, football is football, man. You throw it to your better players, and you let them go make plays. But you know, when your guy tries to make the play right here and he falls down, and this guy takes a bad angle, you know, so you got to be able to be in the right spots at the right time. Just take care of your business. This is what I call a sail route. So they're going to end up, they're going to run like this guy kind of through up here. This guy's going to run here to here. He's going to bang to the flat here. And you end up having a 3-level kind of sail route. But I want you to watch what happens here with the nickel and the linebacker. They run into each other right there, and it knocks each other off. And the tight end comes open. And this is a pass route that these guys run a ton of, okay, is these 3-level routes. They run a ton of these. So they got to be ready to handle those. And those are just basic basic passes. There's nothing spectacular about that play. Now this is a play action basic by the tight end. So they're going to play action this. They're actually pulling the center out. They're going to run here, fly motion. There's a lot of stuff going a lot of different directions. But all they're really trying to do is run the tight end right behind that linebacker right there. And, again, this is from the first game. And right here you can see he's got his whole eyes and body turned here. Now go make the play. Now go make that play right there. That's where they got it. They got it. Okay, good. They got you. Okay. What you're not seeing right here, and I'll go back to the scoreboard shot. 2nd and 23. 2nd and 23. So, with that being said, you catch this ball for roughly 11 yards. Now it's 3rd and 2 instead of whatever. So, just got to make those plays. Now, this is a play action post, and this was the big play you saw here. And this is one of those things when you're playing a cover 3 look like they are here. You can see they're playing 3, and he's got the deep third. He's got the deep third. He's got the deep third. Now, what happens is when this guy crosses right here, he goes and takes him, and then he's going to run back and take over the deep third. That's kind of the thought process behind this. But you see how he's just kind of hanging back here? The second that he goes down, this guy should take off on that angle right there because you've got speed over here. This guy gets beat inside, runs a post. He's got to get on his horse over here and get back there and be back there to take on that post. Now, again, let's go back to where we're at. Second game of his DJ Turner's professional career. I have a feeling that this kid right here, if he sees this again, is going to be on his horse. But again, it's growing pains. Again, you got Zay Flowers, who's really, really fast. Kind of the same thought process, instead of pulling the center, they're bringing the guy back here, doing this. It's just an outside zone play action, but you can see what they were trying to do. And I think the next time that this happens, he's going to understand I better get back faster because it's that close. And you can see right there, even Cam Taylor-Britt, like it's that close that he made that play. And, that was a big play. And obviously he was down, I guess, right there. But now moving on to Baltimore's defense. Baltimore's defense is different than it used to be. Okay. It's still a pain to deal with. Okay. Mike McDonald is the coordinator. He was there, then he went to Michigan. He came back. But right now they do a lot of the same stuff. There's a lot of cover 0. There's a lot of exotic blitzes. There's big dudes up front. I mean, this guy right here, look at the size of their D-line right here. Those are some big dudes. So they've got kind of the same issues. Now, this is duo, and I'm saying duo, and I'm wanting to talk about the big bodies because when you decide to run inside versus this, and I'll show you this from the back end, when you get these big dudes, man, you're talking about blocking here, 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 and you're trying to create the reason he moved over here was it because now they can't double him. And that's one of those things that they're trying to create. They're trying to create a lack of double teams. He moved over here so that they can't double there. They're doing that on purpose. And that's a good thing by Baltimore. Now, here's the thing. Can Cincinnati's O-line hold up like Tennessee's did to allow that to happen? And then I can tell you right now, Joe Mixon will beat these guys just like Derrick Henry did. I have no no reservations about that. That'll happen. because watch this. This is duo, same play. It's different personnel. Now, why did these guys move? Watch when Joe moves over here. Why did these guys move? Just a little bit of football talk here. Because what happened when he moved over here, now they're thinking he's going to run over here. Because I want you to watch what Clowney does. Clowney's going to play inside. They moved over here to try to take all these gaps away because they're thinking he's probably running here. They may have had a tendency for that. Well, they ran same side duo, and when Clowney blocked down in there, they were able to get the edge right here. And then here goes Joe. Now, you put Joe on a corner, I'll put Joe Mixon on a corner any day. Yeah, he runs him out of bounds, but, I mean, come on now. That's a big-time play. And, again, do the tendencies hold up to make them have to move over like that? I don't know. I haven't watched enough of that to know. Now, this is an inside zone play, which happens to get the same kind of thought process here, but they're blitzing off the edge over here. So they're actually running an inside zone here where they're blitzing. Well, the thing is if you're running a read zone and this quarterback's reading this guy to hand or pull, well, when they blitz two outside, guess what you do? You hand it, because one of two things happens. They zig and he runs around it like he does, or he gets up here and gets tackled. You get to the next down, as opposed to you pulling it and bam, you get blasted right in the head. But again, you can see how they play inside. I don't think they're the most disciplined group up front with the Ravens. They come inside just a little bit, and then here goes Zach Moss bouncing around the edge. And again, it can happen. It's there. Now I wanted to bring this up because I showed a play in the Houston Texans recap where Joe Mixon ran what I call a kick play, and they pulled the guard, and he came over here, and he broke a bunch of tackles. But I want you to watch this right here. They're running the inside zone, okay? So you got some guys there. So he's going to try to make it out here. Well, he makes it out here. Big guy throwing his arm out. Throws his arm off. You got Patrick Queen right here. Or that's Roquan Smith, rather. Roquan Smith right in the hole. Get around him. And again, when this happens, especially, the aggression of these guys, sometimes you can use it against them because he's going to go flying over here with that aggression. Boom, make him miss. I can see Joe Mixon making that type of play. Now, explosive passes against their defense. This is kind of a spot where I think the Bengals need to, take a look and say, okay, what can we do to get some plays that not necessarily are thrown down the field, but are that we can get good yardage on and possibly score. This is 3rd and 4, and this is an internal exchange pressure. So really, they're playing man. So he's going to come down and play man here. He was going to go deep. He's man. And they were going to drop. They're going to end up dropping the two ends and bringing this blitz right here. But when they motion him over, they're like, cool. Now, Burrow sees this. You see how he's playing outside of him? Playing way outside of him. That he says, okay, we need to – look, he gives him a signal, whatever signal that is. And he says, listen, if they're going to play outside leverage to us over here and not have anybody over him – and he's outside leverage, we're going to do some in-breaking routes and go ahead and get that pass off. And right here, he throws it. He knows these guys are probably dropping once these guys trigger inside, and he's got to get that ball off. You'll see it from the end zone. There's that window that he's got to get the ball in, and that's a good job. And again, that was audible by Burrow. So, him knowing those kind of things is a big deal. They did this with that's Jamar Chase right here in the backfield. Jamar Chase is playing the back, so he's going to fake. So they're going to fake like a top over the top thing, and Joe Mixon's going to go what I call a slide. He's going to slide into the flat on the other side. All these guys are going to, fake over here, and it's a naked. And again, when you run things, when you got a team that blitzes as much as they do, sometimes when you're blitzing, the coverage guy that's replacing you is a little bit out of control. Because watch this, he comes running down. He's not expecting Joe Mixon to come flying out to the flat, and you see how he's not under control. And there goes Joe. Now, I will say if the Bengals can find a way to get the ball into Joe Mixon's hands in space, the Bengals will be fine in this game. They got to use him in different ways. It can't just be We're going to hand the ball off to you. Find ways to get him in space and do what he does. Now, here's one thing about the Ravens defense. There's a big intermediate area in here. It's behind the linebackers and in front of the deep safeties. And their safeties play really, really deep. You can see their safeties play deep. Their corners are going to play deep. And really, there's ways to get these like dagger throws right inside here. These little, glance posts, if you want to call them. They could be daggers, the deep ends in here, but there's big voids in the middle of their defense. And if you look right here, this is just an intermediate stop. It's called a lockdown. I showed y'all Houston ran a couple of these, but look how deep these safeties are playing. And when these safeties play deep and you got Amari Cooper and Amari Cooper's selling like he's running deep, have Chase sell like he's running deep and then stop right there. And look at the void right there. There's a ton of space there to throw a ball into. So, again, that's some things that can be taken advantage of with that. This is a Tampa 2 look here. So, dropping here. He's the Tampa guy. They're going to run a wrap concept. They're going to sit here, and they're going to run him right behind. So you're trying to high-low this guy. And because number 14 turned his eyes that way, you're reading this side. So at this point right now, so Burrow knows 14 turned his eyes this way. I'm reading this side. So he goes and sits right here. He's going to run right behind him. If he dips down on him, throw it there. If he plays back, throw it there. And it's just it's a simple route, simple wrap concept. And again, it's the intermediate areas I think that they need to take advantage of because they are there. Now, this is a 4-fire zone. It's a play action, but again, it's an intermediate route. And you'll see right here, it's what they're doing is they're playing like a cover 6, cover 4, whatever you want to say, but it's like 4 and cover 2, but they've got two underneath guys here. And again, there's a pocket in here that if you can protect long enough, because if you look how deep this guy's running, I mean, this is a 20-yard route, 18-yard route right there, but again, that's where the honey hole is, if you want to say, because we said the honey hole versus 2 was like back here, but like there is a hole and and the Ravens, there's a void in there that they can attack in the intermediate middle. And I'm saying intermediate, I'm talking about 15 to 22, somewhere in that range, but again, you got to hold up front. And again, they got big dudes, man. I mean, look at the size of 58. I mean, 58's a humongous human being, and you just got to be able to hold up against these big guys. They don't have the greenards like Jonathan Greener, 52 from Houston. They don't have those kind of guys. They do, but not like to that effect. Now, as I say that, let's bring this up. All right, sacks. Here's the last section I got here. So sacks. Now, a few of these things, this is a single linebacker dog. So all they're doing is they're bringing him on a blitz. But here's the issue. This is a really good player here. All right, this is Patrick Queen. All right, this is a running back. That's a tough matchup. I don't care what running back you are. That's a tough matchup. Now, could 34 have gotten his head right inside of there? Sure. This is bad technique by 34. 34 should have had his head inside and stuffed him into that wall right there with 55. But when you got to be aware they're going to bring single backer dogs, and when I mean single backer blitzes, to try to take advantage of a running back taking them on. So that was one. This is an overload blitz, and when I say overload, you've got 3 big guys over here, 1 big guy here, and 2 linebackers here. So you've overloaded the side to this side, and you put some little guys double mugged up in here. That mug means you're inside the heels of the D lineman. And what they're doing is they're going to bring – look, watch this. This is crazy. You see big 58? 58 probably weighs 350 pounds. Big 58 dropping into coverage. Well, why are they doing that? Because you're going to have your lineman consumed on him. You're going to have him consumed on him. Your running back's consumed on him. Here comes this edge dude off the edge fast, and bam, hits him. So, again, they got to be ready. I mean, these are exotic looks, but there's ways to pick these up. You got to be aware of this. Now, number one, what can you do with this? How can you pick this up? There's 2 things you can do. You could leave your tight end in protection. You could call your tight end back in. He becomes a blocker, and you start pushing guys out there, and you block it full slide. The other thing you can do is make sure that you have something built in if you know these situations right now. And again, this was 3rd and 7. So it looks to me like 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 10. You better be ready for some exotics because I'm about to show you 2 more. But there's ways to fix that. Now, this is the Indianapolis game. This blows my mind. They end up playing cover 4, or, it's a 4 fire zone palms. Some people call it palms. They're going to drop 2 guys out. They're going to have a guy come off the edge and blast Minshew here like this. And I want you to watch. It's 5-man protection. So when I say 5-man, the back's leaving. And this play here, so as you watch it from the back, you've got a mug guy here, and you got a guy outside over here. So he's going to go here. He's going to go here, here, here. They're basically 5-0ing it. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're taking those 5 guys. When they release the back, this guy actually peels with him and goes and covers him. So he covers him. But the problem is you don't have anybody blocking this guy. But I want you to watch the next play. It's not the next play, but this is later in the game. All right? Later in the game. Again, here's this guy coming off the edge. This guy's going to leave. Guess what's going to happen when he leaves? He peels. I mean, it is the exact – there goes 58 dropping into coverage. It's the exact same blitz just coming the other way and doesn't see him at all. So got to be ready for these things. I mean, there's tells to this. There's some things, you got to watch for. This guy's pushed over way too far. That guy's not normally there. Why is this guy here when he's here? Why is 6 on the edge right here? He's pressed. He's kind of creeping. There's tips to all this. There's things that you need to be able to see whenever you're breaking down defenses. And then the last one here, this is against Houston. So this is a cover 0, and I call it a saw because it's double-edged blitz. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got your 4 linemen in here, and they're taking the inside gas with Saw, Sam and Will. That's where Saw came from, SAW. Sam and Will. But you can see right here. Now, this is a pretty cool thing that they did. So he's got him man. Okay? But if 31 leaves the backfield, this guy who's blitzing off the edge is going to then peel with him and take him man. And him who had him man is then going to add on. And it screws up your hots are a little different. You know what I'm saying? Stroud's not even looking. He's looking over here somewhere. I mean, right now, you ought to know your back is leaving from this side. You're hot one way or the other. You're hot off of this guy or you're hot off of this guy. This is not a good job by Stroud. I mean, I know he had right now, if this is Stroud, he should be throwing right here to this guy. Get the ball out because right now you're hot. You don't have an outlet in all reality, but you're hot right there, and they got to know that. So they've got a pretty good little package of blitzes. Now, let's talk about the last thing to talk about here. Offense keys to victory. This is where I see things, and I've played the Ravens a bunch of times. I haven't played Lamar as much, but keep Lamar off the field. What does that have to do with the offense? That means you sustain drives and you get points out of longer drives. 10 to 12 play drives. Get some longer drives, run the clock, but get points every time. Get a field goal. Score a touchdown, but get a field goal at least. Have some drives that keep him off the field. And then number 2, just attempt to run the ball. It's working. I promise you it's working. And I know I'm biased to it because I've been a line coach. I've been a running back coach, but there's a point where, running the ball and sustaining drives against teams like this will help you win because it'll keep their guy off the field. And again, I think that's all you got to do as an offense. Go score points, but do everything you can to keep him off the field because he's dangerous. Just like Burrow's dangerous, Lamar's dangerous. Then the last thing I got here is defensive keys to the game. Number 1, just be gap sound versus these runs. If you watch those runs, there's a lot of moving parts, ton of moving parts. You don't have to be exotic in what you're doing. If you watch some of those teams that were playing against them, they're trying to do some exotic things and move around and stunt and do different things. Just be gap sound. Just be in the right spots, but have a plan for the quarterback designed runs. because that's the thing. When you have a quarterback design run, what do you got to do? You got to defend every single person on the field. You don't get to say the quarterback's just the quarterback. You have to defend him as a running back as well. So again, don't be exotic, just be gap sound. And number 2 is protect against the deep throws. And I say this because know their speed. They got really, really good skill guys. Make sure your coverages are able to take the top end off of things. All right. But again, you don't want to just give them that intermediate area to throw everything. But again, you just make sure you don't get beat over the top, because if you don't get beat over the top and make them beat you by dinking and dunking, I think you can slow them down that way and make the run game beat you, which they're really good at. Don't get me wrong. But, take the run game away, be gap sound, and don't get beat deep. And it sounds simple. I mean, but really that's what you got to do. But again, don't be exotic. Just it's a short week. Go in there with your base game plan and say, we're going to be really, really good at these few fronts. There's a couple pressures and these couple of coverages, and we're going to be really good at it. And then again, they've been working on these guys for a while now. Don't get me wrong. Game's on Thursday, but they're playing the game. They're playing it based on a game plan they've been putting together for a while now, because they have other guys working behind the scenes. It's not just been working on Houston the whole time. Other guys work on stuff for weeks ahead. There are advanced guys, quality control guys. Some of the assistants are assigned certain teams, so they're working on all this, and it's going to be fine. But again, it's going to be a good game on Thursday night. Appreciate you joining in and on the preview show, and we'll see you, I believe, on Friday night this week after the Thursday game, Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time on the Chatterbox Sports YouTube channel for the Chatterbox Clicker review show of the game Thursday night. But we will see you then. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you later.